to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 67. I am joined by one of my good friends. He is the Catalyst Wrestling executive producer, Matthew Ryan. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good, buddy. I was waiting for the third name to come out. I thought you were going to say it because you said it in the cadence. You said it in the cadence, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. To bring up somebody that's dead now.
I was going to say I should have said it, but I heard he died in a unicycle accident.
So it was tragic. It was, summer of 2019. It was good for the business, but, terrible for his many, many, many children.
They'll be in that orphanage with El Generico and all them. But again, how's it going, brother? Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
About. We're in that weekend to sabotage. So
yes, we are.
Man, I could already see the stress forming.
It's a stressful job, but I love this. I love working with people like you and the people on our creative and production teams, all of the people on our roster. We have a great show this Saturday. Means a lot to me every time we run on the good side of the Hudson River, on the good side of the Manhattan Bridge, in my hometown of Brooklyn, just a stone's throw from where I was born, at Shiloh's, at 740 Fifth Avenue in Brooklyn. Just a few stops on the R train for anybody who lives in the city. Great night plan. We have spicy margaritas, regular margaritas, some of the best tacos I've had in my natural life, and pro wrestling. And you put that combination together, it is unbeatable.
There you go. I love how we're not even 2 minutes in and you already sold the show. That's it.
I am a carny, Raymond. In my years of teaching you, how has that not been imparted already? I would have thought that would have been the first thing you picked up on.
No, that is something. But before we get into that, because I do want to bring that up, let me ask you, because I have to be the carny here and ask the question I ask everyone. We got to plug the brand here. The podcast is called Respect the Craft. So when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean for you?
It means every aspect of this industry, because what's done in the ring is the real work. But when you talk about the craft, there's so many things that go into pro wrestling. There's the production, the promotion, the working with the sponsors, working with the talent, building these talents up and creating a philosophy for them, creating opportunities for them to really find themselves. There's so many things on the path to really finding your craft and honing on it. It's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week job. And when you talk about respecting it, it's respecting not only the action of wrestling, but the concept of wrestling. In football, we talk about the football gods, and if you respect the game respects you. And it's the same thing in wrestling. If you respect pro wrestling, if you respect what it is, it'll respect you back, in the sense of your goal is to leave the genre better than you left it. And there are people who, whether they like territory wrestling, hardcore, deathmatch wrestling, modern wrestling, strong style, as long as you respect those who came before you and who's going to be after you, because that's the important thing. We could talk about the history all we want, but we're leaving this business to somebody. We're leaving this industry to someone. No matter what level of the industry you are, someone takes your spot eventually. Someone takes your role eventually in some form or facet in this industry, and you have to respect who's taking your job enough to do a good enough job to make them work a little bit harder than they would have if you didn't exist.
There you go. I love that. And again, this is why I wanted to ask that first, because that whole definition right there, that answer right there is, again, if you're watching this podcast right now, if you've supported anything I've done, blame this guy right here for me being in this.
Good.
Blame this guy right here. So if you're watching this podcast and wondering, why did he start this podcast? It's because of this guy right here. We're 67 episodes in. It's all his fault.
Yep. It took 67 episodes for you to fucking book me.
Hey, technically, you were supposed to be in the first week of episodes. And then it just got lost in the shuffle because of my health. So yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, it only took 67. We're still running. I haven't been canceled yet.
Yeah. Who's gonna cancel you? It's your show.
Hey, it's wrestling. You never know.
It's true.
But no, definitely. Again, I make the joke, but it is true for anyone that knows us. Really, the first opportunity I got in wrestling was working with you.
Mm-hmm.
Working with you out of, again, knowing each other from a past company and then getting to work alongside you and learn everything. I truly got to learn about the real side of the craft and not just seeing the in between the ring. Getting to learn everything that you were just talking about right now. Again, to gain that respect and understanding for it.
Well, thank you for being way too kind to me. And when I met you, geez, this is like 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago.
Yep.
You were someone learning the ropes of the business. You were suggested to me. We knew each other a little bit, but you were suggested to me to be my assistant on a project. And ever since then, every step of the way I've gone in this business, I've included you and Ben Falbo, who is basically my other son, my other child, one of my many children in wrestling. Which is weird because you don't think someone like me would have like an impact on the wrestling industry in a positive way, in a negative way. Yeah, obviously. Being in the business, I should have burned my bow tie the first day. But I have been lucky in my time in pro wrestling to be able to work with some of the smartest and most talented people at all levels of the industry. Whether that's on the independent scene, whether that's working with national or international touring brands, or working, on the marketing side of the business in different ways, but still, having my fingers in the industry. I've been able to learn from some of the brightest minds and some of the more unheralded minds of the industry, but also getting to sit under some really, really, really important learning trees and kind of being this Chauncey Gardner or this Zelig where I'm in the right place at the right time in these weird points in wrestling history, and being able to kind of be an ancillary player in something that I've loved since my literal first memory is kind of the greatest joy of my life.
No, definitely. And it's been a thing to be able to now gain that knowledge from you, because again, like you said, you've gotten so many of those opportunities to learn from that, but then especially me and Ben have definitely tried to learn everything we can from you, because you're always also willing to share that knowledge with us and help us with that it's been something that, again, not any ordinary school would teach you either.
Yeah, no, it's, how I learned, starting in broadcasting, being able to learn all aspects of what I do by doing it and and learning and asking questions and being given opportunities. I would not be here if it weren't for people giving me opportunities while I was still in college, while I was still learning, being able to come up with people like Ortiz and Santana, to come up and work with some of the biggest names in the industry now, and then having the opportunity to work with them as a producer or work with great talent like a Myron Reed or Jordan Oliver or an Alexander Hammerstone, Mance Warner. There's so many great talents that I've been able to work with and gain knowledge from that I like imparting that to people. I like how, it makes me feel good to know that other people are learning this stuff, and that, the secrets, not the secrets, but the intricate knowledge of the industry, the ins and outs, why we do something, how we approach stuff, why do promos matter, why do you do X instead of Y, all these different things, character nuance, setups, that's stuff that we take for granted in this industry, and being able to teach that and kind of layer and hammer home the importance of that is truly, truly great for me.
Definitely. And here we go. Already got a comment here from the good pal Isaac saying much love, Ryan. There you go.
Hey Isaac, how you doing? Running against each other, brother.
Shout
out to Violence and Suffering. We've had some I've known Isaac, geez, as long as I've known you.
Yep.
And he's also one of those kids that has, and kids, he's an adult. He's running 2 shows at the same time across time zones. He's someone who loves what this business can offer you creatively. Because pro wrestling's this giant blank slate to where you can actually do nearly anything and everything. Like in Catalyst, we had a hot dog bleed mustard, which is still one of the most argued things in the Catalyst Wrestling quote unquote writer's room, which is just 2 people staring at a typewriter wondering who's going to go first. But when it comes to guys like Isaac and what they're doing at Violence and Suffering, they're taking real chances and it's paying off. And they have a corner of the audience in the quarter of this industry that is, it's an unenviable task to put yourself in these dangerous situations, in these high risk, high reward situations, and being able to give a lot of great talent opportunity to face face different challenges, face different opponents. That's the great thing about independent wrestling, and the great thing about pro wrestling is that each company can offer you something a little different. What we offer at Catalyst is different than what's being offered at Violence and Suffering. What you're seeing in other places is what we're seeing. What we provide at Catalyst is different than what you'd see in GCW or the NWA, but we have talent from both of those promotions. We have talent who have worked for Violence and Suffering. For us, it's about finding the what we can do to get the best out of the talent and finding them in our world, finding them in our universe, and trying to find the different nuances to make them a better talent, giving them the matchups, giving them the challengers, giving them the stories to really find their best self, or find the matchups that will make them work a little differently, create these different styles, make fight situations. I'm a big fan of Pride and the open weights, or UFC, where you have these different fighters who have these different tendencies, who have these different ways of training, going about it. And that's a great thing about pro wrestling, is because you can have that. You can have the dynamic high flyer go up against the traditional shooter. You can have these different lucha, catch, all these different things. And then there's talent like Ghost Shadow who can combine them both into this seamless hybrid. And his match against Victor Benjamin on Saturday for the Freestyle Championship is one that might steal the show. Like, that match might steal the show. And I say that every time Ghost Shadow wrestles, because that man is one of the most unheralded innovators in this business. And to have him on our show and have him represent us as a champion is not only due to his legacy inside the ring, his professionalism outside of the ring, but his talent. And 21 years after debuting, can still put down with the best of them, better than he's ever been, in my opinion.
It's scary, but that's also one of the, I feel like, the best things about Catalyst is it is almost that alphabet soup, in a reason. Like, it's just the best of everything in one. Because you have so many, the modern era, that golden era, or that glory days era, like a cheap plug for that podcast, with one half of the Catalyst, or 1/3, I should say, of the Catalyst Tag Team Champions, Monster Mac. And it's so good that that's what translates to the fan base. That's what translates to our television and to the product we put out, is you get to see everything in that squared circle that you never thought could happen. Getting to see some of these matches featuring, again, those guys that they created this path for a lot of the talent we see now. And that's a lot of what you're going to see Saturday.
Yeah, no, you've got guys like Homicide, Jack Evans, and Ghost Shadow on this card, all in either title fight or main event matches. Yeah. That, to me, is an homage to the wrestling we grew up on. And having 3 of the brightest minds in the industry in our locker room, you can't go wrong with that. Like, as a producer, as a promoter, you can't not look at that and be happy with what you have going on. And then you have some of the best bright minds in the industry. And then you have Julius Smokes sharing a locker room with Jack Evans again. How fucking cool is that? Like, I'm giddy about that aspect of it. I'm giddy we're running a taco truck show. I'm already dealing with the agita, and I know every person who's going to ask me this question on Saturday. Can I jump off the roof? I know. And you have a list too of who's going to ask you that question. But then you also, and let's not shade your co-host on the Glory Days podcast, Uncle Steve Mack's going to be on the card. Joker's going to be there. If Steve asked me to jump off the roof, I'm going to let him do it. I want to see it. We'll see what happens. But then you have G's and Joker.
I'm more worried he's going to throw someone over the truck. That's my word. Just throw them into.
I don't know how we can sell that with the insurance. That's not a call I want to make on Monday morning.
Yeah, but let me get to this chat here because I just noticed a good brother Ben putting a comment there saying, "My brother and my father doing a podcast. Love to see it." There you go. Aw. Hi, Benny. And here we go. We got Wolves saying it's Guy Incognito.
That's right, Daniel. It's Guy Incognito.
Oh man. But no, let's get into that. Let's start talking a little bit about Saturday's show because that's one of the main reasons as well that we're here to again sell the crap out of it because we want people to come. We want people to come to Brooklyn.
Shill,
again,
baby, shill.
It's a great show that's going to be happening. So again, it's Sabotage this Saturday. But let's start with this one. Let's start with this matchup because I have a lot of just questions about this because we have Busky Eric Martin representing the business. He very is. He's a real Busky dude. And then his opponent is still, it's a mystery.
Yes.
Only one man knows who his opponent is, and that is your mom. That's Bobby Orlando. But Bobby's missing.
Yeah, Bobby, ever since April 10th, we have not seen Bobby Orlando in the flesh since the business beat him and Bobby Jr. out after a disappointing turn in 8-man tag match. And that match is actually available on Catalyst Wrestling Television, and all of our old matches are on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
And also you can buy our shows at catalystwrestling.com. Our most recent show, Fear and Loathing in NYC, is available for just $10.
There you go. Link in the description down below.
Yeah.
There you go.
Link in description. Rate, review, and subscribe, by the way.
There you go.
To this and our YouTube channel. Because I'm a whore. But yeah, like Eric Martin wasn't there at Fear and Loathing in NYC, but he is still a part of the business. He and Colby Carino share a trainer in Mike Keener. Keener trained both of them at the same time. They kind of broke in at the same time. Eric's just slightly older than Colby, but they've always had that tie and that connection to him. But Bobby Orlando was one of the people that really guided Eric Martin in Catalyst Wrestling, whether you believe it or not, that Bobby Orlando could guide someone somewhere. You know, Eric Martin, 2-time tag team champion, multiple-time tag team champion in Catalyst Wrestling, and held it for one of the longest periods in company history, had a great rivalry with the Rep, teaming with Lucky 13 and Wrecking Ball Legursky. Interesting to see where they stand in all of this because, you know, we've not heard from Lucky on Catalyst Wrestling Television before or since this incident happened. So don't know where he stands in all of this. Wrecking Ball still riding with the business, riding with Colby, but you know, we've seen the Hot Boys International turn into the business because of Colby Carino. He basically set up the fall of Casey Navarro in Catalyst Wrestling and then basically got rid of Bobby Orlando, which was one of the real ties that bind to the original HBI. And now it's fully the business. You know, we have Lucky, you have Eric, and then you have Wrecking Ball Legursky, but then you have Colby Carino. He has young boys that we still have yet to see in Catalyst Wrestling, you know, trainees that are training under him and the Infinite Man, TIM, and he's in a big match on this card that I'm so excited to see. Like, I'm excited for every match on this card. And this match, because you don't know what the hell's going to happen. You know, it could be Don Morocco. It's Bobby Orlando picking the opponent. Anytime you're leaving the choice in the hands of Bobby Orlando, I wouldn't be surprised if he booked Roberto, Benny Agbayani, Bobby Bonilla. I'm expecting a 90s Met to show up. I'm expecting someone from Generation K. Hell, he might have booked Kaz Matsui for all I fucking know. Those Catalyst Wrestling matchmakers are like, oh, you know what? We're gonna give Bobby the opportunity because we haven't heard from him. He may not show up, but we're gonna give him the chance to pick an opponent.
Well, then I know he still has to be a little bit hurt again after that betrayal, then the attack on poor Bobby Jr. That
they yeeted Bobby Jr. They yeeted Bobby Jr. Like You have to find the footage. Infinite TIM hit a 450 stomp on Bobby Jr.
Yeah,
It was
that was a sight.
Startling.
But again, hopefully Bobby has chosen the rightful opponent here. Maybe, again, it's going to be a painful day for Busky. Well, we'll have to wait and see. But from there, it's another matchup that, again, we still don't know the full matchup yet. We do know this, that the lovely Valentina will be in action.
Yep, and Valentina, last time we saw her, she ate a spear from Devante's, was supposed to be in action, was supposed to wrestle on our last show, Fear and Loathing in NYC, but due to the New York State Athletic Commission, doctors, and also our internal doctor, Dr. Carl K. Fabian, Valentina was not eligible to perform because of that. So now Catalyst Wrestling matchmakers are giving her another opportunity in the ring. There's a lot of talk of the Catalyst Wrestling Women's Championship, the women's division coming back. So there's a lot of opportunities for Valentina to continue to prove that she's the baddest bitch on the block, and she's the baddest bitch in Catalyst Wrestling. And the last time we saw her wrestle, she took a loss to Masha Slamovich in a really great match that's available on Ewing, which is available on Amazon Prime and also in episodes of Catalyst Wrestling Television on YouTube. I'm excited to see what she does. I think we're going to see a more dominant Valentina. I think we're going to see a very impressive Valentina. I think we're going to see someone who's looking to prove that the Catalyst Wrestling Women's Championship belongs to them, and anybody who thinks otherwise has to prove it in the ring.
Definitely. Also, again, like you brought up, that last attack by the Horror Show, I know that's still on her mindset. I know that's still going to be in the back of her head, knowing she kind of has to watch her back, because you never know when the Horror Show might strike again. You never know what the Horror Show will be doing. We still don't know what the Horror Show. We've heard from Zach Amico saying they will be at Sabotage, so we still have to wait and see.
Well, we've seen them report the, and I'm getting just messages throughout the show about people talking about it, and just businessy things, because it never stops. The work never stops. But the Horror Show promise the greatest human sacrifice in Catalyst Wrestling history. And we've seen our fair share of human sacrifices, which is not a sentence you usually hear in promoting a professional wrestling show. We've got title fights, we've got grudge matches, we have international stars, and a human sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've seen one sacrifice. It didn't end well, but I'm not sure what's going to happen here with the greatest sacrifice. I'm afraid for what's going to happen.
Oh, me Saturday. Too. Anytime Lucas is out there, I'm afraid. That boy scares me. That boy frightens me. He's got dead eyes.
What really scares me is just the amount of members that the Horror Show now has, that you never know who you're going to see.
No, yeah, and that's been kind of their MO since they started in Catalyst Wrestling. Like, you have guys like Cutshaw in the background lingering. You have Crawley in the background. You have so many different people within this. King Jeter now is a part of this. Lucifer Darkside. It's frightening. And then you have El Osoburo. You've got Lou Bruno in there, who's been there since the very beginning. Like, he's the OG of that crew. And then Devante's, who might be the future of the Hudson County Horror Show. We saw it in the Slam Jam when Lou Bruno and Devante's tagged. They did a standing doomsday device.
Yeah, that's still my favorite tag move I've ever seen.
It's the greatest tag team move I've ever seen in my life. And on that show, on the last couple of shows of Catalyst Wrestling since we've returned from the pandemic, there has been one thing during each show that has, if you listen closely, you will hear. And Ray, you sit next to me during the shows. Like, you and I time the show together. You will hear a loud, churlish, somewhat girlish scream. And you'll hear it in the Bojack match when we return to Jersey City. You'll hear it during the Social Media Six-Way from one of our shows. And you'll hear it whenever they hit the standing doomsday. because that is one of the coolest moves in pro wrestling.
It really is. And again, that's every time I've seen it, it's almost like a jolt in my seat because I'm like, they really just pulled that off. Because again,
it's pulled off so easily.
It's a standing doomsday. This isn't just your normal, hey, one guy goes to the top, other in electric chair position. No, this is a standing doomsday.
It's insanity.
It truly is. And again, also, I guess we should bring up with the horror show, they're still not done, it seems, with a good friend of mine, Anthony Gangon.
Nope.
So I'm not sure how that's going to deal with on Saturday because Anthony Gangon will also be there.
Yeah, Anthony Gangon is going to be there. We don't know what his role is. He might be Bobby Orlando's hand-chosen opponent for Eric Martin, and that would be an awesome match. I would love to see those two go at it because of Gangon's background. You know, he understands traditional catch-as-catch-can pro wrestling really well, and I haven't seen him in a pure technical fight in such a long time because he's been pressed by all of his opponents to just have utter violence. And the last time we saw him, he was attacked by the Hudson County Horror Show, but had one hell of a performance for the vacant Freestyle Championship. So much so that I think he deserves a shot at the chain in the future. But
definitely,
he was the one who ended up having to take the fall in a knee bar by Ghost Shadow. And Gangon's got that dog in him. You know, former television champion, one of the longest reigning television champions in history. A guy who, since coming to Catalyst Wrestling, has faced an elite group of talent. Someone who's been beset by management and rivalries, and now the Hudson County Horror Show. They won't let the man live. And I think on Saturday we're going to see an angrier Anthony Gangon, a Gangon that you and I, Ray, are very much used to because of our prior dalliances with the man who likes to make people dream by the waterfall.
Yep.
But you know, I'm ready to see whatever the hell Anthony Gangon throws at us this Saturday night.
Definitely so. And again, I still know, as much as I know him, I still don't know what he brings every time he goes out there. Because it's never the same Anthony Gangon.
No.
So again, hopefully Brooklyn's ready for it. Hopefully Chillos is ready for whatever he throws at them. And hopefully he's not the one that wants to jump off a taco truck.
Just don't lose the license. That's all I ask. Just don't lose the license.
Let's go into a title match now because we love these title fights as we have the Callis Tag Team Championships on the line, as it will be the Tri-State Saints. They'll be pulling off that lovely Freebird rule against a team I'm very familiar with, you're very familiar with, the main events of Jay Line and Midas Black. Now, this is a match I know everyone's been looking forward to. I know the Tri-State Saints are looking forward to it. The main event looking forward to it. The locker room has been talking about this because this is about to be a tag team fight right here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what two completely different generations of Northeastern tag team wrestling can bring.
Yep.
Because G's and Joker, one of the Philly's most wanted, one of the most dangerous tag teams in the history of independent wrestling. And then you have Steve Mack involved in this, who, you know, kind of codified the form in the early 2000s with a litany of partners, not just with Dan Moff. This guy understands tag team wrestling at a molecular level. And whether he's in the ring on the apron or on the outside, having that asset as a tag team. First time him and G's teamed together, they win the tag titles. Sure, it was not in ideal circumstances for Rob Killjoy. And we'll get into that a little bit later on too, because there's a whole mess of drama with that. But when you have those three guys and you're standing across the ring and the main event, these are guys who, when they first started as a team, and I've known these guys since they broke into pro wrestling, when they were first coming up, these are two kids that I have, you know, seen develop into what they are today. And a lot of people initially didn't take them seriously. A lot of people thought that they were just a run-of-the-mill gimmick tag team. And every time they step into the ring, they prove people wrong. And I think that they are going to give the Tri-State Saints more than they've bargained for on Saturday night. Because, these are two guys who have made their bones in New York City, have yet to hold tag team gold in their hometown. And when the generational gateway is standing right in front of you and they're teasing you with the Catalyst tag titles, you're going to give everything you have to walk out of there with a heavier gear bag. You may be going to the hospital. You may be in the back of an ambulance. You may be missing a few teeth. You might have a little less blood in your body than you did when you walked in. But it's worth it if that gear bag is just a little bit heavier. If the mantle place in Steve Mack's house doesn't have that title belt there anymore. If Black Cheese isn't driving around South Philly with that Catalyst Wrestling tag team strap right around his shoulder like it's a seatbelt. That's the goal. And I think the main event are up for the challenge. I wouldn't go out and put money on new tag team champions because it will take a nation of millions to hold back the Tri-State Saints. But I'm expecting fireworks on Saturday night.
This one, I'm glad we don't do a prediction show in here anymore, because this is definitely one that's there's two sides to this. One, you have a team with over 6 decades in total of experience in the Tri-State Saints. And then again, you talked about it, the tag team experience with the amount of partners. When you look at Philly's Most Wanted, Blackout, the Hit Squad, the team of Havoc and Mac. You have so many teams a part of that union right there.
And how many guys have they stood across from?
Like the wars they've all gone. They've gone international with it. So much to the fact that then now they're facing a team that, as much as I have studied guys like this. I've trained with these two guys. I knew them since they were the Golden Lines. Yeah, shoot there. If anyone remembers that name. But
I vaguely remember it.
So that's how long I've known these guys. And I know they have that hunger to want to walk into Brooklyn this Saturday. And, well, not even walk into Brooklyn. Take the drive, just a short drive, because they are Brooklyn boys. Yep. They're guys that are from here and are looking to walk out tag team champions. And again, not saying it's going to be an easy task when you're looking across from you from the Tri-State Saints, but it's definitely going to be one that if there's any team that could definitely put up the hardest challenge for them, it might be this team right here.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it on Saturday. But definitely, guys, this match alone right here is worth that price of admission for tag team wrestling, tag team personified, that art of tag team wrestling that I really always love to see. But let's keep it going here, as this matchup is another one that's been the talk of social media here. This has been insane, as we have a Catalyst debut, as it will be Kid Bandit making their Catalyst debut against the Infinite Man himself, T.I.M. And I said it on a promo I did the other day, writing about the event, about how the Infinite Man has truly become almost an antagonist in Catalyst Wrestling. He betrayed a longtime friend in Rob Killjoy, joined the business, and I don't think the protagonist of professional wrestling could stand by.
I think it's one of those things where the last time we saw the Infinite TIM, he wanted all the smoke. He wants everyone who thinks that they can match him in the ring, on the microphone, in the air. This is a guy who's gone through a metamorphosis to stand across against someone like Kid Bandit, who in just about a year has taken the internet by storm because of their inexplicable ability inside the ring. It's hard to qualify or quantify what Kid Bandit can do inside the ring, and they're such an endearing and earnest human being. And you can't really say that in pro wrestling. No. They look to make this an industry a better place. They look to fight for what they believe in and prove it by stepping into the ring and taking on anybody. And your welcome to Catalyst Wrestling is a guy who was, he'll say, forced into a situation, a team with someone he got along with to a point. He did everything into Infinity and the Pond for Lance Lude. And he's been on record saying that he was doing it for Lance. They were all a part of the Workhorsemen. And I don't know if it was Colby Carino getting in Rob's ear. I don't know if it was just a long time coming for Tim, TIM, or if it was just, this is who they truly are. And those are always, when you turn on someone, when you decide to walk away from a partnership. He left Rob Killjoy to the wolves. The three guys we were talking about before, G's, Joker, and Steve Mack, that's who Rob Killjoy had to face alone at Ewing earlier this year. And with the help of Lance Lude, he almost pulled it off. He almost walked out of there still Catalyst Wrestling Tag Team Champion. We saw the Ugly Ducklings reunite for one brief moment. And ever since then, Rob Killjoy has been on a mission to just understand why Tim did that. And more importantly, get his hands on Colby Carino.
I was going to say, I feel like that's his mission right now, is to get to Colby.
Yeah.
Because he might think, just like the Catalyst faithful might, is that it could have been Colby sending those messages, getting into TIM's head and making him think this is who he truly is. This is why he's become the Infinite Man, not the Timmy Lou Retton of what we knew. So this might be the situation.
Not a problem at all. One of those matches that I'm really excited about. And I'm really interested to see how this shapes out, what goes down, and how we move forward. And for me, it's all about who's going to be able to control the momentum. That's the important part of this match. It's for any match. But when it's two guys who are known high flyers, two athletes who are high flyers, who are known to put their lives at risk to get a win, to put on a show, to put on a victory, that is more important than anything, is just controlling the momentum, controlling the pace, and making sure the person on the other side of the ring can't keep up with you. You need to drain their gas tank quick, and you need to ensure that they can't counterpunch you with anything you throw at them. That's the whole that's the whole crux of this match, is whose gas tank is going to give first. Who's going to have that one grain of sand that completely screws up the works in that match.
There you go. Let's now go into this one, as again, it's another championship matchup. Let's talk about that Freestyle Championship, that medallion right here that is held once again by the Destroyer God himself, now two-time Freestyle Champion, Ghost Shadow, as he's going head-to-head with the debuting Savage Gentleman himself, Victor Benjamin, who is not coming alone, though. He's coming to Catalyst Wrestling with KODT champion, The Real Deal. And the Savage Gentleman alone is a very dangerous competitor. And now he's bringing someone in his corner that just adds another element to this whole scenario.
Yeah, when you have someone who is a professional shit talker, whose entire job is to deconstruct someone with their words, that's a clear advantage. But when you're going up against Ghost Shadow, a guy who does not care who you are, what you are, where you come from, the only thing he cares about is getting an envelope at the end of the night and that chain on his neck. And with the exception of his loss to Matt Makowski, he has been the most dominant champion in the history of Catalyst Wrestling. Bar none, no cap. You could check Cage Match. Over 1,000 days and counting across two reigns. The first one was 800 days. Like that is a number that is like Sam, not in this day and age, might as well be San Martino-esque.
Yeah.
But Victor Benjamin, you know, he's a guy coming in to this. The experience advantage is clearly with Ghost Shadow. Victor Benjamin, not someone who's just walking in off the street. He's not coming in off a turnip truck, but he's a guy that's been in the business about 6-7 years, maybe closer to 8. Going up against someone who has experienced the meat grinder that is the Northeast independent scene. Came back after a nearly a decade layoff.
Yep.
And looks better than ever.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't look... I said this the first time I saw him. And when I heard the rumor of him coming back, I just thought, if he's even just a little bit of what he was back in the day, and surprising seeing it seemed like he hadn't missed a day and he got better.
Yeah.
And it's been a sight to see him in the ring, get to talk to him and learn from him. And Ghost, it proves why he's held that medallion so long, why he was able to hold it for almost 1,000 days on his first run. Not even to mention what he's going to possibly do in the second one now with that Freestyle Championship. And he's going in a matchup that I feel like he's going to be the most comfortable with, because I know he loves to face guys that can grapple with him, that can go that technical style. And Victor Benjamin has that. He has that MMA background as well, that I know this is going to be a fight right here. Yeah,
and I think that Victor Benjamin has the height and weight advantage. Yeah. And I think he's going to be using his punching power, and he's going to try to keep distance and try to keep away. And I think for me, the long run is going to be when you see him step in to the ring on Saturday night and he stands across from Ghost Shadow. That first interaction is going to tell a lot.
Yeah.
That first feeling out process. Because if he goes straight after him, he leaves any limbs exposed, it's going to be a long night at the office.
It's one of those things that becomes almost the shark smelling blood, because Ghost likes that. He likes to let his prey come at him first. Let them make that first mistake.
He's someone who waits. Like it's the peekaboo style, like Mike Tyson used to fight.
Yeah.
Wait for it, find it, bang. Find the weakness, find the opening, expose it, and then work on it. Like a raw nerve, just keep digging into it and digging into it. It's the Method Man on the preamble before Method Man. It's the skit before Method Man. All of that. That is what Ghost Shadow does inside that ring against opponents who aren't ready for what he's going to throw at them.
Definitely so. Again, I can't wait for this. Again, that's what I love to see. Again, it's that generational battle as well. Again, it's that veteran of Ghost Shadow taking on one of the next generation here in Victor Benjamin. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. But again, this next one I've been waiting to talk about, because again, it is Jack Evans back on the independent circuit here, taking on former Cal's wrestling champion, Colby Carino. It is insane because there's so much history here. Jack Evans has gotten to step into that ring with Colby's father. He's gotten to be in there with Steve Carino. Again, the history of Jack Evans alone, especially in NYC, is insane. And this is a matchup we get to see on Saturday.
Yeah. This is the main event, by the way. We have 3 main events, and we're going to get to the other 2.
Yep.
But when we got word that Jack Evans wanted to come aboard, we did whatever we could to make sure that happened. We obviously, members of our team have long experience working with Jack, a lot of our locker room, a lot of our staff came up with Jack Evans when he was out here, when he was consistently working on the independent scene in the United States before he started homesteading in Mexico, and then his brief time with AEW. Having that kind of homecoming for Jack Evans, having him go up against, I would say, with limited exception, the toughest challenge for him in Catalyst Wrestling. And that's hard to say because you have so many guys on this roster who can give Jack Evans a test. But Colby Carino right now is operating on a different level. Despite losing the Catalyst Wrestling Championship, and he didn't lose it in the cleanest of circumstances, but ever since uncovering that side of him, tapping into that evil that's genetically entwined inside of Colby Carino. That was the Colby Carino we saw when he first stepped into Catalyst Wrestling, when he was a member of the Rising Suns. That was the Colby Carino we kind of expected for a long period of time. He is his father's son, but he's so much more than that because he's 25. And look at what he's been able to do the last 2 years. The matches he's had with Homicide in Catalyst in the NWA for ICW NHB are an amazing series of matches. Being able to carry multiple companies, to go to war with George South in a death match, to do all of these things is insane to me. And for him to face off against Jack this Saturday is the culmination of a lot of things. And I think for Colby Carino, this is the latest in a series of tests to prove that he is at the top of this industry. And the amount of pressure I know he puts on himself walking into matches, he's going to have to be a little more subdued than what we've seen lately walking into this match, because it's the same thing I talked about with Ghost Shadow. Jack Evans will manipulate your emotions. If you've seen him on Twitter, you know he knows how to do that. And when this guy can bust out standing SSPs or can do things in the air that are undeniable, like they're highlight reel stuff. And he's still doing it 20 years later.
That's that scary factor of just veteran experience, but it feels like it just happened yesterday with him. He is still, again, one of the greatest innovators of this industry, but he's still innovating till today. I'm waiting to see what he's going to pull off on Saturday. And again, this is where that license comes into play. Hopefully he doesn't get any ideas because Jack is the type of guy to want to do some crazy stuff. And I think that's what Colby is trying to study up again. He's trying to make sure he's ready for anything. Because if I'm Colby, I know I have to cut that pace down to his. He needs to make sure Jack Evans cannot innovate and fly on that night, because that's where it's going to be trouble.
Most certainly.
This is going to be a true, again, Colby trying to prove that. Why he is the leader of the business. Why he's trying to get back to a certain style of professional wrestling. But also, Colby knows how to innovate himself. He's not just the mat wrestler, that grappler. He can pull off a few things of his own. But I can't wait to see what they're going to do in that ring on Saturday. And again, if this alone doesn't tell you that it's worth the price of admission, I don't know what will, guys. I really don't. Because from that, we're not done. That could be it.
Nope.
That could have been the card. We're good. That's it. Have a drink and go home. But now there's still 2 more. And let's go into this one that I'm looking forward to, as it will be the Catalyst Championship on the line, as it will be the All-Father, Mr. Darius Carter, defending against the Deaf Samurai himself, Akira, making his return to Catalyst Wrestling. His first match was successful. We defeated that man we were just talking about a little bit ago in Colby Carino, which, again, that's a feat right there. First match in and defeats the former champion. And now he's facing off against another man that's been almost as long as the company's existence has been a part of Catalyst, and Darius Carter.
Since the first anniversary show in 2018, Darius Carter has set a frenetic pace, defeating Anthony Bowens in a best-of-5 series, being the maniacal hand behind a lot of things going on in Catalyst Wrestling, utilizing his power, utilizing his influence. There's a lot of things moving on in the background with Darius Carter at any given moment. I've heard some things about his plans, working with O'Shea Edwards and working with Ron Starr And, watch out for Ron Starr. We saw it at Fear and Loathing in NYC against JD Drake in an amazing match. Like, one of the best matches in company history, with an ending that broke my heart. But I have to remain impartial. I am the executive producer after all. But, Darius Carter is one of the smartest, most maniacal minds in the sport. And he knows what he's doing at every single point of a match. And his only goal is to walk out of there still champion. And there's a very rare individual who has that level of masochism. And you've seen it across pro wrestling. You've seen it at every level that Darius Carter has ascended, whether it's the Crusade, whether it's, working independently or running the Carter Group here in Catalyst. He's a sadistic sumbitch. And when you're going up against a guy who calls himself the motherfucking Death Samurai in Akira, a guy who, spends most of his Sundays or maybe even his Mondays into Tuesdays picking glass and skewers and blood off of his body and out of his skin. You have to go deep into the bag of tricks to stop him. This is also a guy in Akira who knows how to wrestle. He's not, and I wouldn't say this about many, if any, deathmatch performers, but he's not just a guy who walks in there looking to beat the shit out of you with a weapon and win. He is someone who is a multifaceted performer. And that's this current generation of deathmatch wrestler. There are a litany of athletes who can beat you not only with their sadism, but also their wrestling mind and their ability, and they're finding ways to integrate this violent art with traditional wrestling, which in itself is a violent art. But Akira has trained and wrestled under UWFI rules. This is someone who's coming from Paradigm Pro Wrestling, which breeds nothing but killers. He's got that dog in him. And, he very much doesn't want to return home to Masha Slamovich without the Catalyst Wrestling Championship. He doesn't want to return home. He doesn't want to take that drive back home and come back empty-handed. He wants his gear bag a little heavier on Saturday night. And it's a matter of 3 seconds is the key. All you have to do is be dominant for 3 seconds, and you walk out the champion. That's the dangerous game. And he's got to be careful of Ron Starr. He's got to be careful to get into a situation where he can win the match, but not win the title. Darius Carter is going to try to bait him. He's going to try to okie doke him. He's going to try to do everything he can to get Akira disqualified. Because he knows at the end of the day, no matter how good you wrestle, the result that matters is who walks out of there with the belt. Because they get the champion's money. They get a bigger share of the purse. They get the accolades. They're booked on the next show no matter what. The brass tacks of it in independent wrestling. You hold a championship. You have the opportunity to face the best talent available because you have that title. And for Darius Carter, this is another name to his resume that lists people with wins in this company of all elite wrestling talent, of talent that has been seen in Ring of Honor. He's defeated the ROH Pure Champion, Josh Wood. When Josh Woods was ROH Pure Champion, he defeated him in the ring. Cheated to do it. But you know what it says on Cage Match? Darius Carter defeated Josh Woods. It says that in the Catalyst Wrestling record book. Darius Carter defeated Josh Woods. He is still Catalyst Wrestling champion. For Darius Carter, he doesn't care how he walks out with the belt, just as long as he walks out with the belt. And that is something you have to have in the back of your mind any given moment you step out of the curtain and you see that man standing across from you.
Definitely. And I think that's what that sentiment right there, that what you just said about him doing whatever it takes, I think that irks Akira just a little too much. That bothers Akira because he, again, not just being a deathmatch wrestler, he has that respect for wrestling. He has that respect for the craft. And he wants to bring respect that he feels is lost from the Catalyst Championship. He said this multiple times now over social media. He wants to bring that prestige back to this championship that he feels the Allfather is just letting fade away. He wants to win this championship fairly. But again, those mind games of the Allfather are definitely going to start getting to him. Because again, it's New York, it's Brooklyn. We know how the commission is. Akira now has to try to control his violence, or there goes the match for him. So seeing what he can do again, because he's also a violent competitor just when it's just a straight up matchup. But I want to see what he's going to have to do to defeat Darius Carter this Saturday. Is he going to be able to do it? Is he going to be the one that is finally going to dethrone the Carter group here? Could be him, but we're going to have to wait and see. I'm excited to see what he does in Catalyst Wrestling, because it's been great seeing what he's done against Colby Carino, seeing what he's going to do now against Darius Carter. And again, another main event caliber matchup right there, which is insane. But here we go. We got more comments in the chat. What's up, Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling? Giving us
hey,
shout
Conrad.
Right there.
What's going on,
What's
pal?
up, brother? Thank you for checking in. But here we go. Now, let's get to this matchup here, because it is insane for me to think this is also a matchup happening just because of the championship involved.
Yeah.
It is going to be the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship. A championship with so much history behind it, just so much prestige when it comes to this business. And again, you saw me at the last show. Again, I sit right next to you, and you saw that glow in my eyes when I got to hold it for the length of that title match between Homicide and Peter Avalon. Just it's insane. And we'll see that title once again on Saturday as a New York City legend, the notorious 187 Homicide, will defend against a All-American, an NYU athlete in Ray Jazz. It's
a complexity of emotions in this match. It is safe to say that I would not be here without Homicide. We wouldn't, neither of us would be, because of his impact on the industry where we grew up. I was at Final Battle when he defeated Bryan Danielson. I was on the floor of the Manhattan Center when that happened. I have known D for off and on a decade. And this is his Desperado run. This is his Terry Funk run. He is looking to go out in a blaze of glory with that NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship. And it's anybody can get it season. He wants the young bulls of this industry to try and test him. And Catalyst Wrestling matchmakers are all too eager for that to happen. Ray Jazz is a guy that has been on our radar for a year. And when we first had word that he was coming in, Blaze of Glory does sound like a donut competition show. Don't steal my ideas, man. But when you take a look at his pedigree, NCAA All-American, a record holder at NYU, and that, tugs at my heartstrings because I am a graduate of the New York University. This is a kid, he's a full-blown adult, but this is a guy with all of the tools. Not only is he a great catch-as-catch-can wrestler, not only is he someone with all-world ability as a freestyle wrestler, he's trained by Damian Adams, who is one of the best trainers. He's Deonna Purrazzo's trainer. He's trained an inordinate amount of stars in this industry. And having that knowledge on top of all that, he could be the most dangerous amateur to cross over since Kurt Angle. And when you talk about the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship, we have a video about this on our social media. There have been 126 NWA Junior Heavyweight Champions. Danny Hodge has held that title more than I believe anybody else. But you know who else held that title? Sputnik Monroe held that title. Jushin Thunder Liger, Ultimo Dragon, Tiger Mask, Satoru Sayama held that title. So there is a lineage with that championship that carries a heavy burden. And Homicide being the first one to hold it in this iteration of the National Wrestling Alliance gives it so much more importance. And that's not to denigrate anyone who has held the championship over the last 20 years. Not in the least bit. But when Homicide is the one who, when this title returned, earned that opportunity, defeated talent like Colby Carino to win that championship, to defeat former world champions for that honor, for that opportunity, that makes it matter all the much more, because I know better than, and Ray, you know this too, the lineage of this industry means the world to Homicide. Guys like Iron Mike DiBiase, who died in the ring during a Texas death match, died doing what he loved, what put food on his family's plate. Dory Funk Sr., I believe Dory Funk Jr., Dory Funk Sr. held this belt. That's how far back this goes. It goes back to even before the initial incarnation of the NWA. This goes back to Iowa in the mid 20th century. There is history on the line. There is legacy on the line. This is the biggest match, in my opinion, of Ray Jazz's career. And we've seen him come up short. He won in his debut against KC Navarro. Won very, not handily, but very impressively against the guy who dominated, a Triple Crown champion in Catalyst Wrestling, the first person to win 3 championships in Catalyst Wrestling history. To go to there and have an opportunity to win the Freestyle Championship, but unable to, how does he respond to that? How does he respond to a loss? That's the important question on Saturday night. How does he respond losing in that freestyle title fight to walking into the Lions Den against Homicide?
And this is one of those that I feel like it's a matchup where it's even more dangerous, because Ray has everything to lose in this.
Yeah.
Is, again, trying to get that redemption after being this close as well. Because let's also, it was a multi-man matchup for that Freestyle Championship. And he was this close at times to becoming the new Freestyle Champion. So walking into this, he has redemption of that loss on his mind, but he has history making in his mindset. He wants to be the 127th champion. Think about that number. When it's 126 champions have held that championship. He wants to be 127 and make that mark. And again, a wrestling rich town. New York, there's a reason why New York is known as the wrestling capital in the world. And when you look at a matchup like this on Sunday, it's a battle of, again, that old guard versus the new guard. It's a battle of history. It's a battle of so much that it's insane that it's going to be a part of this card.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what happens this Saturday night in this match. The NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship has never changed hands in New York City.
That's wild.
Well, from 1948 to 1962, it was an NWA. It was an NWA area, but ever since then, and we talked about we were the home for the first appearance of the NWA Championship in Brooklyn, even in NYC, in 60 years. And you take a look at the history of the NWA and what, Billy Corgan is doing over there. They're trying to reestablish the iconography of the NWA. They're trying to reestablish the lineage of the championships, the importance of the chase, the importance of studio television. And to be given the opportunity to have that title defended on our show, because it easily could have just been Homicide versus Ray Jazz straight up. But the NWA wanted to see this match happen. They made it happen with Catalyst Wrestling, putting it on our television. It's going to be on our streaming event. And a shout out to our friends at False Finish Productions who are helping produce this event with us as our production partner. This, for me, is kind of a fracture point for both of these guys. Because can Homicide stay with a guy who has unlimited stamina? This guy's got an Israel Adesanya level gas tank. But does D go? And we go back to that veteran versus young guy thing. It's kind of it's a theme on this show, but it's kind of endemic in the industry because we're seeing these generations more and more stand across from each other. And it's not young boy versus veteran. It's peer versus peer, but the experience still matters. So when you see these two guys step into the ring on Saturday night, it's going to be a matter of, is Ray Jazz focused? And Homicide is still Homicide. No matter what you throw at him, he's still Homicide.
And I think that's definitely what the fans are in for this Saturday. To see that happen in Brooklyn, see that happen, just it's insane that all this is going down on one night. Mm-hmm. This is a night filled with, again, that matchup and so much more. Again, if we haven't sold you on this card yet, I don't know what will. Like, this is insane.
Tacos. We've got tacos too.
Hey, that's also then. There's going to be tacos. There's going to be booze, which everyone loves.
Also,
booze.
my birthday. So come celebrate my birthday with me.
There you go. And it's a few days before mine, so we're going to be partying the rest of that night. But also, because of the great people at Catalyst Wrestling, I have a little bit of a discount code for you guys.
Yeah.
So we're gonna show that right here because who doesn't love to save some money? So use that code. Go get your tickets right now. Use the code RESPECT to save some money on those tickets.
Yeah, you'll save 10% on tickets because of our good friend Raymond here. And using that code RESPECT, you can get the tickets now at catalystwrestling.com, or if you just want to cut out the middleman, sabotage that bpt.me. That is sabotage.bpt.me.
There you go. And again, guys, this card is stacked. Also, you can join me tomorrow at 7 p.m. We're going to be joined by one of the voices of Catalyst Wrestling, Brandon Lewis himself. We're going to be talking more about the card, hear his thoughts going into this Saturday's card. And again, guys, this is going to be an event you do not want to miss. But Matt, before I let you go, brother, because I don't want to take up too much more of your time, I have to ask you the final question I ask everyone that comes on. And that is, for Matt Ryan, what is the end goal?
To make great art with great people. I could be selfish and say I want the book, brother. But for me, it's doing this full time. It's turning Catalyst Wrestling into a place where fans, wrestlers, advertisers, anybody who wants to come into the tent will have the time of their life. The one thing that I hear after shows is that this was some of the most fun I've ever had. And a lot of people who attend our shows are attending their first wrestling show. And I want to credit Brendan Sokler for helping, spread the word and apostolatize Catalyst Wrestling, because you have a lot of options. We're in New York City and you can do literally anything. So having people come to our shows means the world to us, but to have people make the conscious choice to go to something they've never done before and to take a risk, that to me, and for them to enjoy it and to talk with fans after the show, whether it's at a post show or while we're tearing stuff down and I'm thanking people for attending. For me, that's the end goal, to get more people to see what we do, to see the amazing roster we have, to see all the people we have on staff who work their fucking hearts out for us. For us to have the opportunity to do that more, to better compensate our talent, to better compensate our team, to better, it's not about me. I don't take dime one from this. I never have, probably never will. But for me, this is about building something that will last for years, for decades, as a true alternative for people who want something, who want pro wrestling, but want a little dash of something else, and want an experience, want a fun time, want a show, want, dynamic television. I think what we do with Catalyst Wrestling Television in 24 minutes is a high wire act. And, if it weren't for great partners like the Fight Network or Gas Digital or KVVB or NUDU, Paranormal TV, Intrigue TV, across our syndication network, and obviously being on Pluto and Tubi, and being able to sell stuff on Amazon and in, Walmart, for God's sake. It's to those opportunities and more for our talent, for our staff, to make Catalyst Wrestling a place you can call home, a place you can make money, and a place you can have fun.
No, it really is. And again, I made the joke earlier, but I truly, again, have to say thank you, Matt, for allowing this young kid. Because again, Jesus, it's been 7 years. You've seen me grow up in this business. Getting to be a part of this and see what the company has become and see what the opportunities have led us to. And again, I said this after our last show, to get to work alongside now, again, people that I grew up watching, getting to pick their brains, getting to learn and continue to learn in this business. It's still something that I don't think I'll ever get to repay you for. And this is coming from me and Ben, because Ben has also said it a bunch of times, like getting for us to grow in this business. Thanks to, again, learning under your tree and getting to continue to grow in this business. It's always amazing. And thank you again, brother.
Thank you, man. I love you. I love your dog too in the background. For me, the greatest return is seeing you guys thrive. Watching you become a commentator, watching what Ben Falbo has been doing with his writing and his art. His manic art style is kind of one of the heartbeats of Catalyst Wrestling. Your understanding of the industry does not, continues to astound, and your ability to kind of find those diamonds in the rough is also one of the, there will be times like, Ray, what do you think of this guy? And your opinion matters to us. And to see you guys grow as professionals, to grow as adults, to grow as members of this industry who are respected, who can contribute. Seeing, you guys, Danny Walsh, Isaac, Dean Silverberg, Eddie Orocho, guys like Zane Decker, who embodied the style of Ring of Honor, the Catalyst Wrestling style. The initial Catalyst Wrestling style was devised in large part by me and Zane Decker, just talking at 2:00 in the morning, and now seeing that on TNT and TBS, and seeing what he's doing over there, with Ring of Honor. And I know he's been shooting some stuff for AEW, is the greatest gift a producer can have. Mainly because I can ask you guys for jobs when I'm run out of the business.
That's where the favors come back. But no, again, thank you again, brother. And again, it truly is insane getting to learn from you, getting these shots in the business, because again, it's led me to Saturday. For the first time, I'm doing a double shot because I'm booked somewhere. But hey, if that's my reason, I'll still be there. You guys have to come down as well. Be there Saturday. Again, it's wrestling, it's tacos, it's booze. And look at this great artwork right there.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Ben Falbo. We were like, hey, Ben, we need that. And actually, if you walk by Chilo's now,
that's insane. Those are hanging.
Those are hanging in there. And we are either having a dance off for them, for the rights of them. Technically, they're my property. But we will find a way to get some use out of them. We might be raising some money for charity or to pay our light bill, whichever comes first. But
there you go. Well, one or the other. But also, we'll try to hopefully find Bobby Orlando this Saturday. We don't know. Hopefully, be there and let us know if you guys have any information. Come to the building, let us know, and stay for the tacos, wrestling, and booze.
Yeah, again, you can get tanked, eat tacos, and watch wrestling all at the same time. Who the fuck doesn't want to do that on a beautiful? It's going to be a beautiful night. You're across the street from iconic cemetery. You're in one of the best bar districts in New York City in Park Slope. One of the top 5 places, in my opinion, to get trashed. There's a lot of Subways, a lot of Ubers. You can go to Manchito Car Service too. There's a lot of fun you can have before and after the show, but get your ass to 740 Fifth Avenue this Saturday. Buy yourself a ticket. If you want to buy a ticket to the show and this card is enticing you, saving online as opposed to the door. Prices go up. Discounts do not count at the door. So if you want to buy a ticket, you've got to buy it now. You have until Saturday afternoon to buy tickets on pre-sale. You have until 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon to buy pre-sale tickets. Do so. Buy your tickets now. I got some ticket emails while we were doing the show, Ray.
Hey, there you go.
You want to spend that extra $5 on a taco, on a drink, on a wrestler's merch, that's where you want that extra money to go. So be smart with your money. Buy the ticket now. Yep. Take the ride on Saturday.
Yep. Again, use that code as well. Save even more money right there. Again, this is a steal. That 10% off, it's a steal when you're getting to see, again, that NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship on the line. The Catalyst Wrestling Championship on the line. Again, Jack Evans returning to the independents. On Saturday, you get to see his first match in NYC back. Come see this show. Go enjoy it. Have some fun. And again, you'll get to see and party with us as well on Saturday night. Matt, thank you again for joining us. Guys, go follow Catalyst Wrestling as well on their socials. Go follow them there at Catalyst Wrestle on Twitter. Go follow them on Instagram. Make sure you stay up to date with all their announcements because you never know what could possibly happen from here till Saturday. So again, as always, for everyone watching, thank you. And don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft, and we'll see you this Saturday. Peace.